Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Welcome to Daily Global Insights, episode 367. And we have some breaking news, which we will come to in just a little while. But first, let's welcome our co-host Sridhar Chityalaji. Sridharji, Namaskar and welcome to P Guru's channel, sir.
Namaskar and good morning to everybody, and looking forward to another exciting Tuesday.
Sridharji, it looks like Xi Jinping is going to be re-elected and he has sent a very stern message to Taiwan. Do you think that he can pull off what he did with Hong Kong at Taiwan, sir?
No, I don't believe he can pull off what he did in Hong Kong that easily. There's going to be catastrophic consequences, but I am sure he will weigh all the options and continue to exert pressure and may force Taiwan to come to some kind of a resolution on this matter in conjunction with international community. But looking at what is going on in Russia, this is not Hong Kong. Remember, Hong Kong was handed to him, whereas Taiwan has been running as an independent sovereign entity for a long period of time.
Sir, global markets are up on strong revenues. Is this a reflection of the overall strength of the economy, or is it something that has not factored in the recent developments in the energy markets, sir?
Well, I think there are two factors. One, I think we mentioned this, that one is the unabated inflation that continues to wage its battle. As a consequence, there's potential implications for revenue. The second is the rising interest rates, which also can cast issues on the revenue side. The markets have been reacting to those sentiments up until thus far. And people have been forewarning that there could be implications as a result of the rising costs as well as falling demand and potential recession. But thus far, especially yesterday, for example, Bank of America and other institutions reported positive earnings. There seems to be a sentiments flowing in. All this can reverse as the revenue numbers come in the next few days. Sriji, nothing has changed on the microeconomic conditions.
And in Asia headlines, Japan and Australia are going to eye a new security declaration in the ongoing Perth summit. The APEC foreign ministers meeting in Thailand is unlikely to gain consensus with US-led efforts to condemn Russian actions in Ukraine. And Singapore PM supports China's membership to CPTPP. Sridharji, there are 3 or 4 things happening now. Russia is using Iranian drones to strike at key targets in Kiev, but US is saying these are human targets, these are not military targets. So essentially, this could get into a much bigger problem. And I've heard some news from Ukraine, and they are saying that this has been, they have been caught unprepared a little bit. They are only able to take out 8 out of 10 Iranian drones. So there's 20% effectiveness right now, sir. So tell us a little bit about what you think is going to happen. I mean, this is very unusual, isn't it? One country using some other country's drones to attack and also attacking civilian targets.
Right. Okay. So I think with the Russia-Ukraine situation, this is, I would call it as a Biden-Vladimir Putin war, as opposed to Zelensky-Vladimir Putin war. Because you are seeing a lot of salvos being fired by Biden and more dollars as well as equipment and weaponry being supplied to Ukraine. Otherwise, Ukraine cannot sustain the war. And the latest battle that you, as you rightly pointed out, is a combination of drones, but also there has been some kamikaze type of suicidal attacks that they have seen, which resulted in the civilian apartments, being targeted and taken out, resulting in damage. So this has escalated the tension between the two nations in the war situation. Now, where does this go? All this means is you take some out, I take some out. You take some out, I take some out. But this is we remember this. We have talked about this. This is not a proper conduct of war, and there's no winner here. There's only a loser type of a situation. I hope the world comes to some kind of senses, and rather than sustaining this battle. What I'm amazingly surprised about is the complete total lack of any kind of measure from Germany and France together, along with other nations, to say, okay, enough is enough. We need Russia and we need peace to return to Europe. And we have not seen any efforts come from either side, and it all seems to be coming from US, Ukraine on one side, and Russia on the other side. And Russia is clearly being aided by Iran with its drones, which prompted the European Union to say, okay, now we need to extend the sanctions to Iran. Iran doesn't care how much more sanctions you want to do, because they already have a partnership with China, they have a partnership with Russia, they probably have a partnership with India. So therefore, Ukraine, Russia, Iran says, okay, do what you want to do. I have decided which side I choose. So to summarize, all these civilian targets is a reflection that Russia has no other. It's making its presence felt. The day Ukraine attacked the Crimea bridge, and took out parts of the bridge, I think the whole kind of war games opened, and anything and everything is now a target strategy.
And even as all this is happening now, China tells its citizens to leave Ukraine, and Russia is warning Israel not to help Ukraine, but it itself is using Iran-made drones. So I don't see how that logic is valid. And also, is a big deal. The last petroleum giant Exxon has now unconditionally left Russia. Sir, this would mean all the Halliburtons of the world have already left Russia, haven't they?
They have Total, then Shell. Now the last one is every one of the consortiums, including the Japanese. The last one that is left and shutting, they have a 30% stake is Exxon Mobil. So they are leaving carte blanche. Most of these other fellows have left carte blanche, leaving behind their operations and assets. So it is capital lost. Generally, what happens is when these people leave, they are prepared to underwrite or write off everything, but with a hope that when things come to normalcy, that sanity will prevail and there will be some restoration. This is generally the thinking behind some of these corporates. But based on what we are seeing and what we are also seeing from the other non-energy conglomerates, it looks like this is a permanent damage to many of these institutions. And obviously, Russia feels, okay, no problem. I got somebody else to fill in the gap.
And looking at United States, the US is perhaps going to tap into its strategic reserves to keep the oil price under check. And US could also sell oil from its strategic reserves to other countries. And if this goes on, and I don't know for how long, Sridharji, this is not a sustainable thing, right? Is this just trying to beat the midterm, sir?
It is. I think you hit the nail. This is a midterm stunt being pulled. These are things that you hear of in third world countries or emerging countries. But now Mr. Biden is pulling a leaf out of the playbook of every one of this. Okay, I will sustain this maybe for 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, all I need to do is pull 15 to 20 million barrels this week, and maybe another 10 million barrels next week, and maybe another 10 million barrels. That means I've exhausted about 50 million barrels. If I can temporarily hold the prices, I can tell the markets and the people, hey, look, I've withstood the crisis. Well, if the corporate revenues come in, then the markets are up. The markets were up about 3%. The futures are already up. You'll say, I never said, they look at the inflation. The stock market is up. It's all, hunky-dory. So let's kind of get back into, and let's get the House and the Senate back in Democrats' hands, and, we'll be doing lots of wonderful things. That seems to be the agenda of Mr. Biden. Mr. Biden is not solving a kind of a strategic problem. If Democrats had intended, they would have released those reserves at a concessional price in 2020. No, they chose not to. And they are also persisting with this unwarranted war by supporting Ukraine strategy.
Absolutely. And lastly, breaking news, the Justice Arumugaswamy Committee to inquire into the death of Jayalalitha has ruled that it was Sasikala who was the reason. We're going to give you more details. It's a very thick 400-page document. We are going through the report, and that will be happening very, very soon. Stay tuned. Sridharji, as always, a pleasure having you, sir. And viewers, we are going to take a break for a couple of days and we'll be right back again after that. Thank you very much, sir. Namaskar.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day, Sriji. Good luck. Thank you.